Hello and thanks for joining the Thursday edition of Journalist Hangout. I'm Ayodele Uzubakun. Today on the program, federal government moves to amend Public Holidays Act over New Democracy Day. Inspector General Police okays independent inspection of SARS cells as allegation against the group continues. And later on the show, bandits kill 10 in fresh Zamfara attack as police in Borno restrict movement of donkeys, bicycles to guarantee peaceful Salah. I'll be hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju and Martins Oloja. So if you're ready, let the hangout start now. Glad to have you join us. The euphoria that greeted the declaration of June 12 as the New Democracy Day in Nigeria and the validation of MKO Abiola's victory in 1993 presidential poll with the GCFR title is still in the air. But the action will only come into effect after the amendment of certain sections of the country's law. In a bid to cement that decision, the federal government is proposing amendments to the Public Holidays Act. Briefing newsmen on the outcome of the monthly Federal Executive Council meeting in Abuja, Special Advisor to the President on Media and Publicity, Femi Adesina, said the act will soon be amended to make declaration of June 12 as the public holiday come to effect. Abubakar Malami, the nation's Attorney General, also hinted at amendment of the Nigerian National Honors Act relating to the posthumous awards. The proposed amendment will surely lay to rest any controversy left regarding the president's declaration. Judy, I must say this is the first time I'm going to hear about this act. That's the Public Holiday Act. What is it about?
Well, let's start by wishing our Super Eagles.
Yes. The first match just kicked off.
A good outing. You know, when I was watching that match, I was wondering if we could do better than that because
Russia versus Saudi Arabia.
Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, because our last 3 friendlies we didn't do well. But all the same, we know Nigeria is usually a late starter, and we do well as the competition gathers momentum. So we're wishing our Super Eagles success in this competition. By the way, Chika, the father of Alex Iwobi, one of the Nigerian superstars, is a great fan of Journalist Hangout.
Really?
He's always watching it in the UK, you know, and he has some kind words about our program. So I wish Alex Iwobi, your son, a fantastic outing
in the World Cup,
and hopefully a bigger team than Arsenal will notice his talent and take him away. I know our Arsenal fans won't be happy about this. But wish our guys a wonderful outing all this.
We are going to play Croatia on Saturday, 8 p.m.
Yes, Croatia. Forget about Croatia. Croatia is 11 against 11.
Okay.
And our people will do well. They have good midfielders. Rakitic, this one, all sorts of ticket, all sorts of Modric, Luka Modric. That one is the most feared one, but we will overcome them.
We'll overcome. So, wishing the Super Eagles of Nigeria,
by the grace of the God of soccer.
Of soccer.
The Almighty God. Wishing them a successful outing. Public Holiday Act.
Yes.
Amending this act for June 12.
Yes, you know, it's been argued in certain quarters that the president does not have the power to declare a public holiday outside of the Public Holiday Act. So I think what the government is trying to do now is to make assurance doubly sure. No doubt the idea of honoring June 12th is a very good one. Abiola suffered, and the president has dutifully honored him in a manner that will help heal the wounds. So any legal impediment to honoring June 12th and making it our authentic democracy day, because the current democracy day, May 29, came out of the blues. There is no significance attached to that day. But we know that there is significance attached to June 12th. It's a day that resonates in the hearts of most of our people. The president has done well. He's done a great thing. And now all they need to do is to ensure that they dot the I's and cross the T's, and ensure that we give legal validation to the president's pronouncement. There's a pronouncement. All they need to do now is the intention of the president should now be given legal teeth. That is what they are about to do.
A lot of people are still they are still kind of confused in the sense that when is the handing over date? Will the handing over date be June 12 or May 29? Are we going to have the normal democracy day shifted from May 29 to June 12?
Well, that one will be discussed by those we have elected to represent us. May 29 is commencement date of our democracy after how many years in under military rule, under the Republic of the Nigerian Army. We started May 29. It will be difficult without legalizing it, because we started that day. You can see what staggered, what has staggered elections to. When you look into what has staggered elections, when some people's tenure were truncated, courtesy of court pronouncements, see a commencement date. So it's something that will be legalized, but it's good that the Attorney General particularly has spoken on this particular one, on this democracy day, that it's just a declaration of intention by the president. And so they are legalizing it. And that was why it was good that they didn't say, oh, let's even begin this year without the amendment of the act. It's a very good thing. In the same manner, the handing over date, that they handed over, they began May 29. It will be very difficult to just shift it arbitrarily like that without looking into the law, because that one is conventional. You cannot say it will be June 12th now.
There's a number of days.
Of days. And this have been even codified into this Electoral Act and so many things like that that can be disrupted if you do it arbitrarily. Anyway, this is what we advocate every day in journalism, that things should be done decently and in order, as it is written. So this is something that cannot be done arbitrarily. You can't just change handing over date arbitrarily without getting the National Assembly involved.
Senator Dino Melaye, at a point in time last week, ordered that, actually opined that you can't give national award to a dead man, especially that MK Abiola is no longer a Nigerian once he's dead. That is not in any way using it to undermine what the president, but the truth of the matter, I think Justice Belgori too actually questioned the propriety of this GCFR.
Still the chairman of the
committee. In the day we discussed that this topic, I spoke at length about why I think Justice Belgori was wrong. There is nowhere in that act where it is stated that the president cannot give honor to Abiola in the way he has done it. There's nowhere. I read that in thoroughly. I spoke with lawyers. There's nowhere. Nowhere in which it is said that this president cannot exercise his powers to give honor to Abiola in the way he has done. There's nowhere in that act. I wish, because it's just, remember the governor who said the other day when they had the APC crisis, you know, when we had this issue about tenure elongation. And the governor was saying, no, the law permits us. But he didn't cite the section of the law. I'll be happy if Justice Belgori can cite specific section of that act that forbids the president from acting in the way that he has acted. And you will see that beyond Begore, lawyers generally didn't make an issue out of it, not because everyone loves Abiola, but because there's no no portion of that law that you can really point to that says he cannot give Abiola that kind of honor. Just like the governor of Ekiti too said that it can only be given to those who have been president or a president of the country. But we have precedent because Shehu Shagari gave it to Awolowo, and Awolowo was not a president at the time. So as for the honor, I do not think that the president has infringed on any law. The technical and the testy part of it, the tricky part, was this Public Holidays Act, and they've done the right thing by not by not declaring public holiday on that day,
yes.
By not telling Nigerians to go on holiday on June 12th. They said it will be, yes. Now, they've also done the right thing by setting machinery in motion to have the act amended. Once that is done, then there's no...
Quickly, Malamitu has hinted of, amending this Nigerian National Honors Act to be able to at least define this GCFR thing.
No, definitely. Even just as Jide has said, if we are in a country where people are not arguing, we are in a democracy where lawyers are not talking, it means that something is still wrong. They will fight one way or the other, because Justice Begore, who is the chairman of this committee, saying that he wasn't consulted, he wasn't aware, is this thing. So I even read views of some lawyers who were citing, were defining person. Somebody that is dead is no longer, it was the lawyer's view that Senator Dino Melaye was quoting, that is no longer a Nigerian.
So once a person is dead, it's no longer
These are technical things. When it is time for concrete, when something that's substantial, criticism, yes, about this thing. But as for this particular act, I think we should just allow the sleeping dogs to lie. But it's good for democracy, for lawyers to be talking, for people to be saying, this is the way we learn through so many of these submissions like that.
All right. When we return, the Inspector General of Police okays independent inspection of SARS cells as allegations against the group continues. Stay with us. It's still Journalist Hangout. We'll be right back after this breather. If you're just joining us, you're right on time. Award-winning program Journalist Hangouts. A government agency can be said to be responsive when it respects the rights of citizens and takes steps to address complaints. For some time, Nigerians have complained about high-handed attitude of officers of the Special Anti-Robbery Squad, SARS, a unit of the police. Now, it seems police authorities are ready to open activities of the notorious squad to public scrutiny. For public scrutiny, the Inspector General of Police, Ibrahim Idris, has granted approval for the independent inspection of detention cells used by SARS. The news is contained in a statement by Head of Public Complaint of the Rapid Response Unit of the police, that is Abayomi Shogule. Specifically, the IG granted approval for the National Human Rights Commission to audit detention camps in all police commands and formations, particularly those of SARS. Is this a face-saving move or an act born out of genuine respect for citizens? Jide, I think this should be a plus for the Inspector General of Police if it is carried out sincerely and the National Human Rights Commission, they involve them in this exercise.
Yeah, I'm not really excited because this IG promised that he would reform the SARS last year. In the aftermath of those protests, I've not seen anything meaningful that the IG has done to clean up the SARS. Rather, SARS men appear to be growing even more irresponsible by the day, because the agitation was so strong last year, and you would think that by now, a lot of the officers in SARS will have turned a new leaf. But what we complain about, they are still doing. I have issues with the fact that the Nigerian police is extremely weaponized. You go to other countries, even Ghana here, you hardly see policemen carrying guns.
Yes.
In Japan and other countries, you hardly see policemen carrying guns. These ones, they carry guns and they are ready to fire at the slightest opportunity. Look at that one who went to Ekiti on illegal duty and ended up shooting Michael Okpe in the belly. So the fact that the police is so weaponized is a problem for me. But SARS, as a group, has refused the SARS, the units and the people who populate the unit have refused to purge themselves of irresponsible behavior. This is a fact. How can SARS, you would think that SARS members will be smarter than that. How can SARS members be arresting people and be forcing them to transfer money into their account? This thing happened last year. It's dumb, extremely dumb. In this age, a policeman who should be smart.
Direct transfer.
And that from your, look, it happened last year when people were talking about the fact that SARS would drag people to ATM and force them to collect money. Many people thought it was untrue, that they were just giving the police a bad name. But they are the ones giving themselves a bad name. And I've said it repeatedly that for every 10 decent policemen that we have, who are doing their job diligently in a manner that pleases the average Nigerian, there are some dysfunctional policemen out there who are hell-bent on destroying the name of the force. So for each of those heroes, there are guys that are just messing up the name of the police. Now, how can you have a situation, a girl and some of our colleagues who are going for a photo shoot, you know, here in Lagos, you arrested them, you accused them of not being decently dressed, you arrested them and forced one of them to transfer money into your account. And that girl did the scream munch and posted it on social media. There is the case of Itemagbo in Rivers, Von Itemagbo, that when the SARS men began to torture him, one put a gun to his ear, and they allowed a volley of shots to ring out. Definitely the guy was scared. They now forced him at gunpoint to transfer 150,000 into the account of an errant SARS officer. This thing is happening in today's Nigeria under Idris's watch. The SARS that you told us that you are going to reform, they still haven't stopped taking money from people at gunpoint. Is that not armed robbery?
That's robbery. People that are meant to protect
no,
us.
If you ask for money from me,
unwillingly.
No, there's a difference between extortion, not at gunpoint, with extortion at gunpoint. Extortion at gunpoint, by my own definition, I don't care how lawyers define it, it is armed robbery. Because it is the fear of that gun that is making me to release the money. That is why it's armed robbery. Yes. What is it? It's armed robbery. There's no way by which you can define it as something else. It is armed robbery. So if it is still happening after we were promised a reform of SARS, then that means the IG has really not done anything. So pressure came from the National Human Rights Commission to check their cells. Of course, given the media attention that this issue has received, they will clean up those cells before those guys get there. It's just like announcing that you are coming to kill Boko Haram somewhere in Bama, one village in Bama that they are occupying. Will they be stupid to wait for you to come and kill them? No. those cells will be cleaned up, and you can't check those cells simultaneously. It will take weeks and probably months to go around all of those cells. During that time, they can ensure that those guys are cleaned up to look like they are decent people, well-fed and well taken care of. Look, I'm tired of this kind of shenanigans. The reform of SARS has little to do with what goes on in those cells. Policemen who are going outside, we should use technology to catch the indecent ones amongst them. That's how it's done in other places. They get them to put on body cameras. So whatever you do, if you slap someone, it records you. They put audio gadgets on policemen. They do it in other places. Why do we like going to other places and we snap pictures, we show off with pictures of places that we've been to? Our leaders, you see them, they travel almost every week, and we are unable to implement or replicate any of those good things. So we leave the police, we leave SARS the way SARS is. When young people, you see, they are on bike, they see SARS men, you see them, they start transferring their phones to maybe a woman, they think that at least they will show little respect for women. Of course, it's a lie. SARS does not show respect to anybody anymore because it is a woman that was forced to transfer. How much is the money?
Ridiculous.
Less than 10,000 naira. It's a woman.
So the act itself.
But Martin, when you look at, you see them, especially, it's a common sight in Lagos. We just see a danfo loaded with ugly-looking guys in mufti and holding AK-47. At any point in time, they can clear any boss and everything. I thought, okay, am I going to identify these people as police officers?
It's a very serious matter. But, we cannot separate SARS from the Nigerian police force. So the reform that he's talking about is not just a reform of SARS alone. Because SARS is an arm of the Nigerian police force. But what happened, just as he said, when the campaign of End SARS was at its peak, the leadership of this country, either from the executive or from the legislature, the people who represent us, should have moved in to probe the atrocities recorded at that time. But because of our culture of impunity, our culture of let's leave everything to God, and God will punish them. And God doesn't punish like that. Just as I remembered Shakespeare during the Democracy Day, a Democracy Day special edition of this program, that Shakespeare tells us that when any kind of mercy forgives a murderer, it encourages murder. This is the issue. Because nothing happened, he promised a reform of SARS, and he didn't do it. A lot of stories. I think it's an opportunity to tell the IG that image matters, because so many terrible stories are being associated with this IG. And he should note that perception has, maybe it will take time before the language masters in Oxford, we say perception is reality. Perception that the efficiency is elusive in the tenure of this IG. I think he should be concerned about that. SARS, he promised a reform. Maybe he's doing it and we don't know, but nobody has seen anything that is reforming it, because it continues outside. They search people indiscriminately. They ask people to come down. They collect people's phone anyhow, especially vulnerable people. People, the masses, people who just travel or close in the night, the way they abuse human rights. It's good that National Human Rights Commission, I think, when Professor Chidi Odinkalu was there, he restored some respectability to National Human Rights Commission by so many investigations that he led in that commission. And I think that is what they are trying to do now. It's good that National Human Rights Commission a constituted authority is asking them to open this thing. But, you know, as he said, you know, the way we are here, before these people get there, they will have cleaned up certain acts.
Is it that they get different trainings? I don't understand. We still see police that you still see a unit, let's say like the RRS now, let's say look at the way they act professionally, and when you see them, the way they are dressed and everything, but it's still the same Nigerian police force that you have this SARS.
You see, the police, the Nigerian police, whether it is RRS or SARS, is not permitted. It's not a court of law that can pronounce the verdict of guilty on an individual and go ahead to execute that judgment. So SARS people believe that, oh, they can carry out extrajudicial killings. Because when policemen kill innocent people, we are reluctant to take the lives of policemen. That's why this is happening. After some years, you see that the policemen have been released. Yeah. And where you do not punish people, then you are encouraging them to continue their deviant behaviors. Yes. And what I'm saying to the IG is that he has an obligation to curb the deviant behavior of SARS men. Okay. He has an obligation to his country and to his maker to get these guys to change their ways. If that is the only way Idris can do, that's the only way Idris can do, the only thing Idris can do for us as IG, I will be extremely grateful to him.
Okay, Babaji, let me take my first caller. Akala is calling us from Lagos. Tell me about your SARS experience. Yes, Akala, are you there?
Hello, I'm there.
All right, thank you for joining us.
I quite appreciate what you are saying, especially the gentleman, Mr. Jide, and the other two people. Their contributions matter a lot. The issue of SARS and Nigerian police. If you are talking about SARS from morning to night, they are still Nigerian police. You see a lot of police people taking transfer from their various areas to join SARS because of all this who is going to face us. The way Amanda they are doing, I'm an engineer. Sometimes 2 months ago, I'm in Surulere. On my side. I quickly run down to Gesha, Access Bank. Can you imagine alcohol people kill? They want to collect money from the ATM machine. When we notice a gentleman being handcuffed by SARS, by Nigerian police SARS, to that ATM machine, we all just move aside from them until they push this gentle guy to the ATM machine. This guy will draw up to 150,000 in my presence. I'm just looking. They push an officer with a mufti to follow that guy to the ATM machine. The very sad people, they stood by their vehicle. Access Bank in the deserted.
Thank you, Akala. Thank you, Akala. I will take this break. When we come back, we'll still discuss about SARS. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Babaji, somebody reported to me on Sunday that there was just a case between landlords, maybe that has to do with drainage, and somebody that he felt shortchanged about how the drainage went in his house and everything. He had contact to somebody, SARS, and SARS just came to Ota area, picked up landlords on a civil matter, and they were asking for 200,000 naira for bail.
No,
Special anti-robbery squad to pick landlords, not robbery.
The deviant behavior of policemen in SARS constitutes the worst form of corruption. So if we are fighting corruption and we do not look in the direction of those guys in SARS, then with corruption are we fighting? Corruption simply does not start with somebody, a politically exposed person, stealing money, stealing government money, and then being arrested afterwards and put on trial. What SARS men are doing, grabbing people by the scruff of their necks and taking them to ATM points to withdraw money or to transfer money into their accounts, is the highest form of brigandage. Is legalized stealing. Legalized stealing is nothingness, it's corruption. So the president should look in that direction, because look, if you want to fix Nigeria, you can't leave a police force that we are not proud of. You can't leave it behind. Otherwise, people will talk about your time as president and the things that you couldn't do. Mr. President, I'm challenging Mr. President today to command the IG to give us the reform of the police that he promised. Every time we talk about police, they are not well funded, it's a fact. It's a shame that we don't fund the police appropriately in our country. It's a shame. But it is not an excuse for aberrant behavior.
They're told their own salaries now.
It is not an excuse for aberrant behavior by people who are paid to protect you and I. That they don't get paid as much as they should be paid, or that their welfare is not adequately taken care of by their own bosses, their selfish bosses, is not an excuse for deviant behavior. Because this is what we are seeing. How many times will the young people in Nigeria launch this campaign? I remember that time when this SARS thing started. We had some people say, oh, it is some politicians, it is some robbers who do not want SARS. If any of your brothers had fallen victim, like an innocent Nigerian who just who was based in London, the one that they extorted 10,000 naira from her, just came into the country, and in Lagos, SARS men saw her and accused her of being indecently dressed. How did it all end? She had to transfer money into the account of a SARS officer. And what do they do? The police has a rapid response unit to complaints that you and I make. That rapid response unit in Abuja will now refund monies that SARS men illegally took from people. Is that sufficient?
It's not sufficient.
I mean, it's tokenism. This is the definition of tokenism. Put those guys on trial, ensure that they are jailed, and the way they sometimes do it in the army. Let Nigerians know that you put them on trial. Let Nigerians know that you do not tolerate deviant behavior in the police, so that we can see the faces of policemen who are bad eggs, who have been punished by the force. That is what should happen.
I have Dari. Dari is calling us from Kaduna. Thank you for joining us, Dari. Hello? Is Dari there? Go ahead with your contribution, Dari.
Yes, good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
Good evening, Jerry.
Good evening.
Yes, I can hear. You see, yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes, I said investigation for allowing the Human Rights Commission to come on board now, I think is an effort that is too late. The police have their own intelligence. There is how they can conduct investigation of themselves, not until when the public, make this outcry. And when they made this outcry, you would have secretly allowed the National Human Rights Commission to go ahead without even the police knowing. Because like Babajide said, most of these acts would have been cleaned up. But even the ones that are cleaned up, it is still in the public view, public glaring, that you force people to collect money. It is long overdue, for God's sake. It is long overdue.
Thank you, Dari.
Let be cleaned up.
Thank you.
And Nigeria will have a city.
All right. The Police Service Commission, what's their job? Can they effect this reform?
The Police Service Commission is a regulatory body. I know there are certain things that they cannot handle. But the people in charge of operations is what we are talking about now. What will they do? They can give a directive. Do they, even they said the other time that they even for so many times that they have called the IG, he has not even attended any of their meetings. He can call their bluff. He can call the bluff of even the interior minister. The IG's office is very powerful. The IG himself is very powerful. But, you know, the way you exercise this power is very important. You know what Jide is talking about? Corruption. And I think people in authority in this country should note that this is, what is it? What is corruption? If we are talking about corruption, corruption is not something, it's elastic. It's criminality, this dishonesty, and any act like that involves bribe. You know, you cannot take this thing away from EFCC, that they should hand over some of these people. It is easy to get people who have transferred money to accounts of officers. Yes. And they can get this record. And they charge these people until these people are punished.
Make examples out of them.
Yes, until they are punished, people will not have confidence in the Nigerian police force. Because SARS, the way they abuse human rights of most citizens that are vulnerable, that cannot complain, they have nowhere to complain to, they have nobody to complain to. So many. But so even the National Security Advisor's Office can ask for the electronic recording of end SARS coverage. When they get that, they will see the atrocities that people have committed, and they can charge people to court.
Calling us from Kaduna. Thank you. Thank you for joining us, Chinoso. Hello.
Hello. Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us.
All right. I greet everybody over there. Babajide and the other young man. I greet you all.
I greet you.
You're welcome.
All right. So I'm Chinoso from Kaduna State. Chinoso, not China.
Okay, Chinoso.
Chinoso.
All right.
Okay.
So my experience was I was collected 4,000 naira just because I carried somebody on the bike, and the policemen, they are on mercy. So it wasn't easy for Nigerians. We are suffering. If the IG cannot do anything, let him just resign. That's my point. I get you.
Do we resign in Nigeria? He said, let the IG resign.
That's not an advice.
You know, it's not
in our DNA.
No.
But the guy is just
a reality in our country.
It's frustrated.
Resign?
It's terrible, really.
And it's frustrated. And that's,
beyond, we all want to see a police that is better run. Why do we praise the RRS in Lagos?
Yes.
Because we can see that the RRS has changed.
Yes.
The RRS is a much better run organization now. Yes. You know, we see it. The other day we were talking about it, and someone was saying, look, that if your car broke down somewhere, they will bring a 5-liter keg with fuel in it, just to help you to get out of that area. And they are positioned in the dangerous parts of Lagos. So they are doing a good job. They are still policemen.
Yes.
They don't have two heads. And it's about doing the right thing. It's about running SARS itself competently. And it is not beyond this IG. This IG is educated.
Well,
all he has to do is come up with the right ideas. He has to have the determination to make it happen. If you have this notion that, oh, it is just some disgruntled element, it's just some disgruntled politicians who are labeling SARS, who are or some armed robbers who are behind complaints against SARS, then you don't want to solve the problem. And history will judge you harshly. This is the way history is. Abacha was stealing our money. I hear they are still going to collect another 500 million again.
20-something years after.
We are still collecting. Yes. We are still collecting. Until this administration leaves, we will still be collecting.
You know, so it's,
history has judged Abacha harshly. No amount of efforts can make Abacha smell like roses. No amount of effort can make him smell like roses. The place that has been kept for him in the annals of our country, nobody can take him out of there and dignify him beyond beyond what he did as head of state. So this is it. Stole us blind. Stole us blind. You can't make an hero out of him because he's no hero. He was a terrorist as the president.
There's some significance in something he just said about RRS. That shows that state police can really work, and that's the way we should go. We discuss this thing every week at the editorial board of The Guardian. Whether you agree or not,
it's my view.
This
RRS is not state police.
That is no.
It's still within the Nigerian police setup.
It's still within Nigerian police.
Reports to the commissioner of police.
It reports to the commissioner of police.
Funding
that is where the issue is. Funding.
These state governments that cannot pay salaries that will fund police.
Let me tell you,
even as we speak in Nigeria,
if you
police,
give them the opportunity,
paying the salaries of police is still a challenge.
No, I think
this week they are still paying the salary of policemen is still a challenge.
The point I want to draw out there is that it is because
people
of
can't
the way
pay salaries of teachers to pay policemen.
Managed at state level. Okay, funding at state level.
Moving on now, in this only month of Ramadan and approaching Eid al-Fitr celebration, one will think that the bandits terrorizing Zamfara and neighboring states will have a rethink and halt these senseless killings in Nigeria, but it appears they are becoming more heartless. Just last Tuesday, the bandits killed 10 villagers in Benin Magaji local government area of the state. Police spokesman in the state, that's Mohammed Shehu, who confirmed the killings in Gusau, said the bandits perpetrated their latest crime when they raided 2 villages in the states, crossing over the northeast of the country. Another epicenter of insecurity, Borno State. Police there are leaving nothing to chance. The State Commissioner of Police, that's Damian Chukwu, said they are deploying 5,000 policemen to forestall security breaches during the Salah celebration. Chukwu said, also announced that the measures aimed at checking the activities of Boko Haram insurgents. According to him, vehicular movements would be restricted hours before and after the Eid prayer, while movement of bicycles, tricycles, and motorcycles, donkeys, camels alike would not be allowed. Gentlemen, we know that anytime we have this festive period, these people, they try to make sure they strike, and Nigerian Police Force, the IG has directed that there should be a kind of security alert across the country. But still in Zamfara, I want to believe those guys, even if they are non-Nigerian, most of them will be
Nigerians.
Okay, most of them will be Muslims. So in these holy months that we are meant to keep away from anything negative.
Terrorists do not know anything like a holy month. You see Al-Shabaab killing people during fasting. We've seen Boko Haram slaughter people during fasting. It's terrorism that we are talking about here. Terrorism has no boundary. There's no boundary. They want to show that, look, they are still strong, that they are still effective at what they do.
Sometimes they claim to religion.
Yes, what I tell people is the strain of Islam that Boko Haram beats his chest about. You and I know that ordinary Nigerian Muslim don't have that belief. That's why, for me, I always quarrel with people who call Boko Haram a sect. It's just call them terrorist group. Don't call them a Muslim sect. Because their behavior is not consistent with the behavior of other Muslim sects that we see. Sheikh Dairu Bauchi and the rest of them, clerics, they don't preach violence. They don't. We have our friends. Some of the best friends that I've made in my life, I made in the north. I still retain them. And they are Muslims. There's nowhere the Quran preaches the kind of slaughter that Boko Haram or those bandits in Zamfara are carrying out. For no reason. People who have not offended you, you slaughter them. the good thing, one thing that gives me joy is that Salah holidays now, for those public holidays, we always manage to cage them because the security is usually tight in Maiduguri and even in the Yobe state capital. So in the past, they kill people on Salah Day. They know they are no longer able to do that because we are now wiser to their tricks. They know their tricks. These are people who use donkeys, sometimes even cows. You see cows in front, whereas it's terrorists who are even behind those cows. So they use that as a kind of camouflage to deceive people and get into communities where they want to kill people. So that's why I'm not surprised now that they are saying even bicycles. No. What's it called? Donkeys, no. Because you've deceived us in the past with donkeys and ended up killing people. So it won't happen. And I'm confident that if we sustain these security measures, we'll be able to keep these guys in check. You can see that Boko Haram has not carried out any military-style attack in Borno State for some time now. Because our guys, our soldiers are doing an excellent job. They've not spoken. Shekau runs his mouth anyhow, abuses Buhari anyhow, you know. He has not been able to shoot any video lately. Or is it that his cameramen have resigned? No, he's just feeling the heat. He has cameramen, he has light men, he has audio people, you know, guys. And they edit, but they've been rendered powerless these days because he knows that he's being watched. Nowhere in Borno State, under the leadership of this current theater commander. You know, one thing about this current theater commander, Operation Lafia Dole, is that he also speaks different languages. God gave him that talent. He will speak Hausa fluently, speak his native Igbo fluently, and even speak Yoruba to you. So he's able to achieve what some of the predecessors could not achieve. That was why the governor of Borno State singled him out for praise. And we can see, everyone can see that the result is coming. We only pray that they will be able to finally get the job done so that these wicked souls will no longer be able to threaten our people.
Martin, how do you protect these communities? 5,000 policemen deployed.
Well, definitely, you know, that's a flashpoint. We can't do otherwise at this time, because a flashpoint, this festive season, people will be afraid. And as he said, if they can sustain what they have achieved at this time, except in Zamfara State, where these bandits are concentrated at this moment, I think it is better to sustain what they have achieved, especially in the northeast area, since Zamfara is part of northwest and not northeast. they are there now. But I think the important thing is to be able to sustain this, as they have this commander that has been able to achieve something that we haven't had their operation in a long while. And sustaining it is important, because we know sometimes, as we were just saying, oh, we thank God for what has happened. They will just strike somewhere. I think it is better to sustain it so that government itself can concentrate on development efforts in the country.
Judy, final take on this?
I agree. I agree with him absolutely. And I always tell people that I can only imagine what Kashim Shettima will have achieved if he was not distracted by these terrible Boko Haram people. Because you see this governor, you see the houses he's building for widows, you see what he's doing for the girl child in the area of education, focusing on education, more than even governors who are not, who do not have the misfortune of being distracted in this manner. And you see him do all of this. You now ask yourself that if he had peace, you can only imagine the extent to which you will have been able to please his people, take development to all sections of Borno State. But there are still areas in Borno State that even the governor will admit to you are inaccessible. You know, there are still areas that are inaccessible because these guys are still occupying those areas and tormenting our people. But I know that their days of torture of our people will soon come to an end.
All right. I want to thank you, Martin Zalojan. I want to thank you, Babajide Otitoju. And the Eid al-Fitr is the end of fast is, I think,
fasting.
Yes, at the end of fasting, I think today or tomorrow. And Eid al-Fitr celebration, we have a very, very lovely weekend.
We wish our viewers, happy Salah celebrations. We hope that it will please God to give us many more years to celebrate Salah in our country, in a peaceful Nigeria.
Peaceful Nigeria. Peaceful Nigeria. And that's it on Journalist Hangout. Join us tomorrow for another interesting episode of the program. You can watch the replay broadcast tonight. You can also watch Journalist Hangout on our platforms showing on the screen. You can catch us on YouTube, youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. Our feedback channel is Journalist Hangout at tvcnews.tv. I'm Ayo Dele Uzubakun. Bye for now, and God bless Nigeria.